All right, welcome everyone to today's live stream. I think you're probably hearing me better today, at least I hope so. Today is Monday, not yet, October 27, 2025. Hope you're doing great. Got the markets up big today. NASDAQ up over 400 points, almost 2%. Dow up 0.5%, 214 points. S&P 500 up just over 1. And we've got, let's see what else is going on. We've got the metals down, oil down slightly. Silver, here we go, down a little bit here at 46.98. And some are saying this is a really good buying opportunity. I think so. Bitcoin up today, past that 115,000 USD mark, and 161,907 Canadian. So big moves on the indexes today. The talk of the town is interest rate cuts coming this week, the announcement made this week. So we're going to see, that's what's fueling the markets right now. It's what's driving the markets. It will certainly drive them higher if we get a 25 basis point cut in the US and Canada. That's the expectation for Canada now. 85% say that they're looking for a 25 basis point cut. So that's going to be helpful. So you probably, for those of you who are holding Big Bear stock, you probably got notification of a special shareholder meeting that is December 1st, meeting date December 1st, 2025. And you probably received a proxy to vote on that. Most people, there's 3 ways to vote. You can cast your vote, a proxy, call your vote in, or attend in person at the meeting. Most people don't attend in person, but hey, if you're in the area, why not? If you're in the US and it's convenient for you, definitely go in person in the meeting and report back. Tell us, take some good notes and tell us what is really going on here. But it looks to me like they are, here, I'll share my screen. They are wanting to increase the float from about 465 million shares approximately to, here we go, increase the number of additional shares of common stock from 500 million to 1 billion. So they want to double the float. And it's all going to be based on the results of this special shareholder meeting. If you vote for it to move it forward, they're going to be able to increase their share count. So this is a big deal for a company to double the number of shares that are actively traded, publicly traded, and issued. They're basically saying, from what I can tell from this, they want to issue the additional shares, although they may or may not float them right away. Like, they're going to have the opportunity to keep some shares, and they said right out of the gate that they pay their folks through shares, right? Like, they're incentivized, they're given bonuses, share incentives, and rather than cash. So it's helpful for a company to have this type of cash on hand, cash reserves, because this is a huge offering. And yet, for us as shareholders, if they were to take those extra 500 million, 500 million, 500 billion shares and put them right into the float, our share price would drop like a rock. And just because it's the stock value is not based on 1 billion shares, it's based on 500 million. So it's certain. Now, I'm not implying that this company is going to do that. What I am saying is I think we have to be very cautious how we vote here. And I'm not telling you to certainly not implying or telling you how to vote. I'm just simply saying, I think we need to vote on this. A lot of these, this is the first time you've probably ever heard me talk about a voting matter for a company via proxy. And just because, a lot of them aren't any big deal. This is a big deal though. And, it's going to be, the meeting is held on December 1st at 8 a.m. And you can attend online. And this is just from my brokerage firm. So I'm sure all of you got these as well who own Big Bear. But you can attend the meeting online and you can vote. Then I voted ahead of time. But just basically when you have an opportunity, I'm going to suggest you read this proxy and just see how it sits with you, like what your take on this is, if it's something that you're in agreement with or not. I don't think we can ignore it. That's what I'm trying to say. I think we need to weigh in on this and consider it carefully. So this is all about the special meeting, how you vote. But let's get into what is the vote required to approve each matter. Proposal 1. So there's 2 proposals here. Proposal 1 is to approve of an amendment to the certificate of incorporation to increase the number of authorized shares. The affirmative vote of the holders of a majority of so it has to be the positive, the affirmative, the yes vote of the holders of a majority of the outstanding shares entitled to vote therein is required approval. Proposal 1 will have the same effect as a vote against Proposal 1. So brokers are permitted to exercise their discretion to vote uninstructed shares on this proposal. We do not expect to have broker non-votes on Proposal 1. The board recommends that you vote for. So they're telling us, they want us to vote in favor of this to increase the number of shares. Not a big surprise, right? Approval of the adjournment of a special meeting. So I want to get into the use, what they can do with this money. Meeting is, we will not address questions that are, among other things, irrelevant to the business of special meeting. But they're saying meeting as a stockholder rather than a guest. By following the procedures outlined above, you'll be permitted to submit questions during the special meeting. Each stockholder is limited to no more than 2 questions. Questions should be succinct and must relate to the meeting matters. What is the deadline? The deadline is for submitting a stockholder proposal or director nomination no later than December 29th. Okay, here we are. Proposal 1, approval of an amendment to the company's common stock. So there's actually 2 things going on here. They want to increase the number of common shares from 500 million to 1 billion, and then they want to increase their preferred shares as well by 1 million. So the share increase amendment will not affect the number of authorized shares of preferred stock of the company, which is 1 million. Currently, there are no shares of preferred stock issued and outstanding. But if our shareholders approve this proposal, then that first sentence that I just read will be deleted and replaced by the total number of shares of all classes of stock that the corporation shall have authority to issue is 1 billion. 1 million shall be divided among 2 classes as follows: 1 billion shares of common stock and 1 million shares of preferred stock. So this is the first time this company has issued preferred shares. And let's keep going. As of September 30th, we had 500 million authorized shares of common stock, which is actually 435,777,718 shares were issued and outstanding. So there's two two different types of shares here. There's authorized shares, how many shares the company is authorized to have, and then there's shares that are outstanding, which are actively traded in the marketplace. We have also reserved for issuance shares underlying our outstanding equity awards, warrants, and convertible notes. So, I've covered this in the past about how this company has different share classes and structures in order to benefit the, let's say, attract and benefit the C-suite executives. And when they just hired their new CFO, they issued some, some warrants. I don't think that CFO got convertible notes, but I think they got warrants as their long-term incentive plan and for purchase under their ESOP, Employee Stock Option Purchase Plan. Our board believes that this is in best interest of the company and our stockholders to increase our authorized shares of common stock and in order to have additional shares available for use as our board deems appropriate or necessary. As such, the primary purpose of the share increase amendment is to provide the company with greater flexibility with respect to managing its common stock in connection with such corporate purposes as may from time to time be considered advisable by the board. The corporate purposes could include, here we go, without limitation, financing activities, public or private offerings, stock dividends or splits, conversions of convertible securities, issuance of options and other equity awards pursuant to their stockholder-approved incentive plans, establishing a strategic relationship with a corporate partner and acquisitions transactions. Having an increased number of authorized but unissued shares. This is key here. We really have to make sure, and if anyone shows up live on the call or asks the question, I'm sure the question will be asked, out of these 500 million new shares, how many will immediately be issued in the marketplace? And that's where, they dilute our current equity in our shares. So we just have to be cautious and we just have to be told, really what the thinking is behind the share issuance. So the worst thing, like I said, when I started out saying the worst thing that could happen is they issue these additional shares and dump them into the market, which it doesn't sound like that's something that they're going to do. It sounds like they need these shares. They're going to do multiple things with these shares, from incentives to potentially, we could receive a stock dividend. Who knows? It's going to be interesting. And also, it could work out in terms of their acquisition strategy. They already have, we know their cash position is solid, but it's going to be interesting to see. Okay. So would allow us to take prompt action with respect to corporate opportunities that develop without the delay and expense of convening a special meeting of stockholders for the purpose of approving an increase in our capitalization. So, often with public companies, they have to get shareholder approval for issuing a debenture, a bond, or anything else. They're saying, once they have these new 500 million shares in their kitty, they don't have to check in with anyone. They can do what they want. Let's see. We rely significantly on our authorized common stock for compensatory and workforce retention efforts, as well in connection with financing and other transactions where we have issued rights to acquire our common stock. Investors in prior transactions have purchased our common stock and derivative securities entitling them to shares of our common stock, and for which we have had to reserve of our authorized. That doesn't make a lot of sense there. Feels like that sentence got cut off there. Oh, here we go. Of authorized common stock. Furthermore, our senior secured convertible notes due in 2029 permit us to elect, subject to certain conditions, to pay interest in kind with shares of our common stock. So they do have this debenture out there, this convertible note that can be converted into common stock in 2029 should the stock hit a certain price. The effect of approval of proposed amendment, the share increase amendment will not have any immediate effect on the rights of existing shareholders. However, our board will have the authority to issue authorized common stock without requiring future stockholder approval of such issuance, except as may be required by applicable law or rules of the NYSE. Future issuance of common stock or securities convertible into or exchangeable for common stock could have a dilutive effect on our earnings per share, book value per share, and the voting power and interest of current stockholders. That's basically what I was saying, that, they understand that if they issue these shares in the marketplace, it will dilute current shareholders. So this is a big, crossroads for a company when they elect to issue this many new shares, basically double their share issuance. Like, I get that this is going to give them a whole lot of flexibility, a whole lot of capital, that's going to be great for the company. But on the other hand, I just don't know how it's going to be handled for shareholders, because frankly, up until now, the C-suites have done nothing but sell their shares, right? Like when you look at insider activity for this company, let's bring it up for Big Bear. The lion's share up until recently, very recently, like now it's, 69% are buying their shares, but that just happened over the last month, because prior to that, it was nearly 100% of insiders selling their stock. So it's interesting how they shifted, what the insiders were doing with the stock right before this vote. And I find that interesting. I don't want to say deceptive, but just interesting timing. One positive thing here for short share outstanding is this has actually dropped. This percentage here is now 17.58%. That has dropped by 5 percentage points very, very recently. So we have, what that tells us is there's some shorts covering their positions. And usually shorts do that when a stock is ready to take off, or there's a potential for a short squeeze. When a stock is really ready to just start amping up in price. And as we look at this chart, we're gonna see very quickly. Here, let me help you see all of it. You're going to see very quickly that the stock has lots of support at the 638 level, the SMA 50s holding it up there. Lots of long-term support at the 519 level. And there's a little bit of resistance at the 732 level right now where the EMA is sitting. But once it moves past that, once it needs to move through it and hold that move above the 732 mark. And then it's going to eye that SMA 15 at 756 and move through. Then it could have a really nice short squeeze going on here where you could see the stock go from this level easily up to this higher than this previous high at 974. I think we could see it, at the $10 to $12 range in the near term. So you've got that situation going on, and this hopefully will all happen before this December deadline for this share issuance. So, we just got a couple things to consider here and to really think about. So I recommend all of you to take a look at this voting matter, this proxy, and to vote. I mean, really vote. You've got, again, 3 ways you can vote by internet. You would have received already from your brokerage firm the proxy for that, where you can click through and vote. You can vote at the meeting, right? You can go online, attend the virtual online. Oh, I see. So there's no, they're not letting us come to the actual meeting. We get to go online. Got it. And then, or we can mail it. Mark, sign, and date your proxy card. So this would be your proxy here. And then, whatever your interested in doing, however you want to vote. But I think this is a matter that we need to carefully consider and vote. So you're either voting for it, against it, or abstaining. Now, if you click abstain, I'm not certain how that vote, I guess it's just not counted, right, for either way. So the first one, again, is to weigh in on that 500 million share issuance. And then the second is approval of an adjournment of a special meeting. But I think it was more... approval of an adjournment of the special meeting. So if the board believes that if the special meeting is convened and a quorum is present, but there are insufficient votes at the time to approve proposal 1, is the best interest of the stockholders to enable the company to continue to seek to obtain a sufficient number of additional votes. Okay, so they're going to want to do everything that they can to get this passed. We're asking shareholders to authorize the holder of any proxy solicited by the board to vote in favor of the adjourning special meeting or an adjournment of the postponement thereof. If the stockholders approve this proposal, we could adjourn the special meeting and any adjourned session of the special meeting to use additional time to solicit additional proxies. So, some of the big holders of this, obviously, the institutional holders are BlackRock, Vanguard. It's the usual hot suspects here. And it's 342 institutions are holding shares. So, our vote probably wouldn't count at all, actually, because when you look at these institutions that own so much, like Vanguard at 20 million, BlackRock at 20 million, and then some, State Street at 6.6. I mean, it's these massive companies, JP Morgan Chase at 2.4 million, who are owners of this, and they are going to cast their vote. And I guarantee you it's going to be in favor of this share issuance. So I don't know. I just think, as a shareholder, I think it's part of our right to weigh in on these corporate matters, and You'll learn a lot. At the very least, listen in on the call, which takes place. What was it? December 1st? Yeah. On December 1st, and you'll learn a lot listening in on these calls. And the more that you listen in on these calls that these corporations provide, the more you learn. I mean, it's a big learning opportunity. But just want to let you all know this is on the horizon for this stock. And it's going to be interesting, the impact of this. And we'll see what happens after this meeting. But just want to bring this to your attention that this is on the horizon here for Big Bear. And we need to be aware of what's going on here and cast your vote. Well, that's all I got for today. Have a fantastic